Lawmaking is a continuous process. Every single day, Parliament wakes up to process laws that are coming. Some of them are private members' bill, some of them are government-sponsored, and so on. So on this Kenya Computer and Cybercrime Law, what happened is that it is a law that has been existing from 2018. I was in the committee that sat and crafted the Kenya Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Law of 2018. As you would appreciate, technology develops at a very fast pace. There is so much that has happened in technology between the time this law was made and today. And so the work that was being done with this amendment law is to fortify an already existing law and specifically to address the issues of the use of devices or computer systems in aiding child pornography, child trafficking, extremism, and culticism. So the truth of the matter is that this is just an amendment act that comes to fortify the Kenya Misuse and Cybercrime Law of 2018.
So does the bill adequately address emerging technologies like AI and deepfakes?
As I said, it is a continuous process in creating laws that answer to the developments in technology. This specific law does not quite cover all the areas in emerging technologies like AI and all these other emerging technologies. However, not one single law would be able to do everything. For example, our country, Kenya, is being lauded as being a leader in legislation in the space of emerging technologies. I'll give you an example. We crafted the Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Law. The Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Law is being lauded around the world as one of the most robust laws that is aiding the move towards AI and the developments in the space of artificial intelligence. How so? AI, in its very nature, is driven by data. And so the issues of data sovereignty, data rights, data management, data collection, data collation, all these issues are very fundamental in the space of AI. And Kenya is leading with this very robust law called the Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Law. In fact, around the world, Kenya is among the leading countries in the laws that are speaking to the emerging technologies in AI. In developing the Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Law, we did a benchmarking, a search and spin on what is happening across the world. Some leading laws like the GDPR in Europe, we checked what is happening there. And everyone is saying, not only did we develop a law that is as good or better than GDPR, we were able to do a law that speaks to the situation of Kenya. Where checking all that is happening around the world, checking the developments in that space, we are able to infuse the very unique, authentic Kenyan nuances into this law. And as such, the Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Law is lauded as one of the most robust laws in the space of emerging technologies in the world, not only in Africa.
So, how does the bill balance national security with freedom of expression?
We must be clear that the amendment law had very little, if not nothing, to do with freedoms of expression. As I said, the amendment law was here to curb against child trafficking, child pornography, extremism, and culticism, like things that we saw in Shakahola. And so we've got to be very clear about what we are talking about, because at times generalization is a fallacy. If we are specific to the issue that is being discussed, you will find that this law only came to fortify the Kenya Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Law of 2018.
My last question, what metrics will be used to evaluate the bill's effectiveness in curbing cybercrime a few years after its implementation?
Brilliant question. As I said, law is a continuous process. And what we do with a law, each law is checked for its social impact, its economic impact, and so on and so forth. And so, what we are doing here today, public participation, is great information to Parliament. And I, as the chair of the Communication, Information and Innovation committee in Parliament. I'm very keen to be in such forums because with this kind of feedback, you are able to analyze and check on the efficacy of a law in terms of the end user. And one of the biggest things that we are learning is that government must step out and inform the people. Those of us who have been elected to Parliament, sometimes people think that government is people out there and we are wananchi. I want to remind every Kenyan that we are all government. By paying taxes, you are a government. By electing a leader to go to Parliament and represent you, you are government. So there is no government on one side and there is no people on the other side. All of us, by virtue of being taxpayers, we are government. And the principle here is a legal maxim that says no taxation without representation. And as such, every Kenyan in a democracy is represented in government, and so government is all of us. Separation leads to strife. Separation leads to death. So it is not a blame game between the people and the government. The learning that we are taking is that the agencies in government, whether they're in judiciary, whether it is the executive, whether it is Parliament, they need to catch up with the pace of technology so that they are able to curb the misinformation. We are told that lies will have done a circuit and a half around the world before the truth wakes up and washes its face. So government is being called upon, and its agencies, whether it is the ministries, whether it is the departments, whether it is the agencies, they are all being told, please step out there, give the information to the people. The people are very ready to receive this information. But when there is no information flow, it gives a vacuum, and that vacuum is filled by misinformation.
Jamal from Nairobi Gossip. Just one question. There is, you've talked about misinformation and the bill in relation to the industries that have been stated in the bill. There is this.
As I said, the Amendment Act was coming to deal just with the issues of child pornography, child trafficking, extremism, and cultism. So we have to limit ourselves to what this amendment law came to do. And if you would go and get the Amendment Act, you will see that the things that this Amendment Act did is captured in the memorandum of the Act. And the memorandum says that the Amendment Act came, one, to fortify definitions. It fortified the number of definitions: access, cybercrime, phishing, and so on. Those are just definitions. Secondly, it sought to fortify those clauses that have to do with child pornography, extremism, cultism, and child pornography. Anything else that you have had is outside of this Amendment Act that was signed into law.
Since you are in
the maxim of law says that your freedom end where my rights begin. So if your freedom is infringing on somebody else's rights, then that freedom is limited. And in this freedom that we pursue, a very wise man said that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So as a Kenyan, I'm called upon to know what law is being made. How does it affect my life every day? And where do I source for the truth? I said in the forum there that the concerns of misinformation globally right now are averaging at 58% on social media. Concerns on misinformation are at 58%. In Kenya, the concerns on misinformation are averaging at 83%, meaning that if your source of truth is social media, then chances are that you will be a consumer of a lot of propaganda, a lot of misinformation, malinformation, disinformation, and so on. So as Wakili said there, if you're looking for health information, social media is not the place to get it. If you're looking for financial information, social media is not the place to get it. If you're looking for legal information, social media is not your source of truth. Allow me to end by saying, Nairobi Gossip, well in, very well done. you guys are doing a great job informing Kenyans. We are happy seeing young people doing the brilliant work that is happening online. And those of us who are in parliament are here to make sure that your freedoms are protected, and secondly, that your hustle can thrive in this new world. And that is why you see some of us chasing in parliament on the rights of the artists, on the royalties that the artists are getting, and so on. So I thank you very much, Nairobi Boss.